I was saying, I'm John, and some of you remember me from past celebrations here as the obnoxious guy who talks politics and gets in everybody's face with it. But there's other things too. But I thought I wouldn't show as many of those things today because I'll throw in some political poems, which are always bad, of course. But we'll see. We'll start with something not political. This is called Big Teeny. Big Teeny Bopper came on Orwell in Newspeak, asking him a light, eyeing the open manuscript, until Orwell obliged him, with reluctance, not having ear enough to fathom what was said, as T.B. pranced out the public cafe and out into the gray and concrete and spoke to himself out loud, awesome, and Orwell cringed, defeated in his own silence. And another somewhat more comedic one. This is called Baroque. Relax and enjoy. Bob's Rolex ticked like true gold the day it was bought in Singapore for a song on a corporate venture after Bob had sold his host, a Chinese gentleman, on the wisdom of investing a certain sum, but not for long, in a rundown tract of Newark, New Jersey homes. Now, the sad part. They were found, by fortune's ill stroke, to have been condemned. By the way, the Rolex broke. Now, as warned. These are two poems from a set of four called Four Glimpses of a Four-Year Man. This one's called Negotiation. And I think I'm going to have to fix these glasses at some point. The real challenge is to brave one's defeat, to stare into the featureless depths until your owner found. This is beyond any veto. Before a no summons liege lords and fight handlers, the gray-suited bagmen of hidden renown. You pace a reflection bound from fear to vote and election. The last pounce augurs only the drooling blood running slowly from promise in office to TV show diplomacy. Even victory drips future fears upon the flinging carpet paths of Air Force One. Mouth reverent prayers, forget the depth's test, while hopes are sold faded like nuts by the sun. Actually, that's an old poem. Yeah, that's from 30-some-odd years ago. Okay, another one, the fourth one from that set of four sonnets. An Empty Pew. Was God as true as faith laid your knees to believe, resting impute? Trust doesn't linger in darkened aisle, content genuflections and hymns sung unfelt. It is unseen within great desk files, promises and issues with which with you have dealt. Dig a pit deep in that desk's paper shade. A torn gospel hymn may crawl out untuned. Doubts hover in hoarse whispers where official walls come to end. Still, you think a bent knee can blend your name into history. It all disappears down the black Potomac. Even prayer languishes when faith stapled to paper deities vanishes. And now for equal time, so to speak. These glasses really bother me. I always bend them out of shape. Okay, this is called Staccanovite over tea. Staccanovite over tea, pardon my pronunciation. They said if I finished, they'd make a hero of me. Put my picture on stamps, print poems and papers, mention me to the kids. They said that if I finished sometime before the clock, somewhere beyond the rate, there'd be sausage with my beer, the brew sipped in sweet smoke, the smoke around a soft bed, atop of it all her, if I could finish up. They said to work this machine, to ignore the jamming works, the black air, the smell of ash, the temperamental controls, the smudge of the blueprint, the foreman's familiar presence behind my back. They said elsewhere they work for less than the bread's crust, from fear of the company's goons, or they might get their notice for anyone but themselves, because they are told to. They said if I should finish too little, too soon, too bad, the big moon would turn to me, the leader's lights go out, the sky was going to fall, I'd have to put the stars back. They said when I finished it, my kids will breathe sunshine, make songs out of starlight and the breaking of my back. They would bring me bouquets from the mountains where they sang, but the ones that I had send their cards from abroad. All right, well, let's these are again some political ones. I call it South American Trilogy. They're kind of old also. There are three here. First one is widows. Widows cry in the stairwells. Their eyes are black pools, damp, dark, and hollow. They are like the doors, now unopened, ever sealed, from fear for one taken. Widows are crying as I pass. My foreign suit gleams like a uniform, with flashing boots, quick heels, and a memory of terror. My hat shades my eyes and is mistaken for another in the night. Cries pursue me like dogs tearing the living flesh of men, forgotten. Echoes float through the hallways, hounding those who can't forget, the black veils draped in doorways, the sleeves of lonely figures. I knock for friends no longer there, as I hear the widow's words. This is called Roses. A scent lingers in the hall, where men gladly saluted leaders and flags. Their promise now wafts through vacant corridors by deserted banners hoisted on death's arm. The fragrance remains overpowering, forcing one to pause, to catch breath and memories in the dim fluorescent space of a capital. Silence is only disturbed by arrogant boots. Then the passage echoes anew, carrying radio voices across time like an endless tape. An aura envelops the shadows. A man is recognized by the perfume traces, swelling revolution unfinished. Fresh roses fill the bouquet Allende's ghost carries tomorrow. And lastly from that set, Sand. Children are laughing before the gates of a sandcastle, worn old by the sea wash and the dancing steps. Time rinses the strength from these walls along the southern shore. Laughs rattle the decaying hallways that collapse around the small souls. Sand tumbles over the cramped forms in tarnished toy soldiers' swords. A death mask lies bloated, still, floating out with the seaward tide. The last turrets are vanquished, scooped into buckets with giggles of merriment. New generations pour the sandy ruins back into the shore. Once impregnable, another anachronism vanishes with the cleansing froth. The ribboned sandmen sleep in sandy tombs, taunted by the glee of youth's gavotte. For a Lost Cosmonaut. And I don't know if I should fill this in. At least in the West, there used to be stories about cosmonaut lost before Yuri Gagarin and his first recognized space mission. Okay? And there were even reports of someone picked up by ham radio operators of shortwave radios. No history the schools teach holds this name, the orbit only, a trace, a decayed circle, twisted, turn to curl and squirm in receding embryonic ellipses of ever lesser heights. Lost, once seen, now omitted. Not even debris the radar may scavenge from among the duties of a mechanical paranoid's mock search to disconfirm its purpose. There is no path satisfactory. When hushed, history's re-entry failure rests unbetrayed. No choice, but a splintered wishbone, a fork, fate stuck in a helmet-charred die, and slashed across the top wind's face, past meridians and through the sky, perpetual dawn line, we never live, until dust, settled within the night, air unbreathed, orbit unknown, hidden and enmeshed in a flame, shadow sheltered eclipse. Bones may strain against the outer hull, but loud each cracks before the morrow dances with torches of marrow lit in incensed rites. The contested fire, descent sets man upon the sky. Breath may be too regularly checked by too sure monitors blind. You live as statistics disintegrate their mix to nulls from ones, disillusions certain. Yours is a failed comet gathering sterile dust in darkness torn but not rent. Burnt plastic in a carbon shroud, unzipping behind some cause's nighttime flags. Why can't someone recall this frequency the radio's never named, this firestream rubble our sight forgot? All right. This is kind of a weird thing I did a long time ago. I think everyone's aware of the haiku form, which is basically very short, usually almost always a nature poem. 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables, something like that, although you can have some freedom with it. Well, it depends on what you mean by nature, and this one here is a little bit of a thinking about history as part of nature, and it's called Haiku Variations for Dmitri Shostakovich, and there are 5 of them. So the first is, born in young turmoil, hushed by decadent struggle, one spoke in choked song. 19th century, dynamos propelled a rose back upon its thorns. Men of steel prefer to dissonance the beat of a pistol hammer. During a great siege, motives hid from the searchlights endured air raid screams. A young man lays down a harp. An elder looks for shade between the keys. This is a poem that was inspired by my daughters when they were little. It's called An Explanation of Sergeant Pepper for My Children, referring, of course, to the album. Once upon a time, a spirit of peace passed through the ceiling of a recording studio in a place where forever children were giving each other flowers. 4 beetles, from whose garden, were singing about someone who woke only to pass into a dream. Wearing bright uniforms with shiny buttons, they played. Magic braids slung their arms. They sang of holes needing to be filled, an accident, of leaving home one morning, but late. The music made the angel sigh like starlight, made her mourn for the crowd that turned away. What had they meant when the young had sung of loving, turning on someone? Would they play it again? The next one, which is the next to last, so it's called Almost Cloud. Moon, don't hide behind the clouds. Come back, moon. Sarah raises her 2-eared voice, gentle yet loud, implores Luna play fair. Mist spills past the aged brow, the young face calls, Moon, don't hide. eyes almost cloud. I seem to lack the strength that faces the truth. One far day, she of small age might lose this grace, and weigh heaven in cool, sciential light. Come back, moon! The circle of light becomes a ball. Children's gossamer games firm to a sphere. The geologic whole seem the world. Here I crouch by night's window, cradling. She calls the orb to spin free and remove its hood, to replay my child's small game. Moon, don't hide. And finally, another somewhat offbeat one. This one's more in tanka form, which is the 5-line Japanese form. I call it samurai. I wield the balance of hate and hurt. The long blade hints the world yield up secrets. The dagger thirsts to lay my insides bare, doubtless. Thank you.